One who is upstream for this, so everyone in Carroll County, all the way up to Westminster, you guys got to be ready for this one to come your way because that heavier band is moving in that direction. So again, if you've been watching all morning long, we've been talking about this potential tornado now, and now the threat is starting to materialize as we are seeing it in our area, but it's been to the south most of the day, as we have been watching it just kind of lingering off to the south and southwest, and now we are seeing it enter our area, and we could continue to see this following. And kind of amazing, I was just talking over here to Megan, and she was discussing the last time we had a tornado threat like this. It didn't take long before we saw so many of these popping up one after the other, and then here we go. Here's the next one. Here's meteorologist Amy Aronson's shot. She is likely seeing exactly what I'm seeing. She's got radar in the vehicle with her, and she's probably noticing, well, there it is, the tornado warning that we were both thinking about. Do we have Amy's audio? Can she hear me?
Hey, Gerard, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Amy. I'm sure you've noticed. Can you give me your location? I know you were up near the Columbia area.
Yeah, so we're leaving Columbia. We are heading towards Cooksville, which, of course, you never want to drive right into a tornado. So we're going somewhere close so we can try to get eyes on what's happening there, but not directly in the path. They are right outside that blinking red box that I'm sure you're showing folks on the TV there. But we are about 20 minutes from there. So I feel like we're actually going to be too slow for it because, as you mentioned, this storm is moving and moving pretty quickly right now. But we're going to try to kind of parallel where the storm is headed to see what's happening there, so folks don't have to head that direction or take a look themselves. We want everyone in that blinking red box, in the tornado warning, of course, to take shelter, because you do not want to mess around with storms like this, right?
No, especially the fast-moving ones. If you're about to cross in Howard County up towards the border where Carroll County is on I-70, this is where you got to pull over. So between Cooksville and Mount Airy, you really want to pull off the highway. Bridges are not shelter. Let me remind everyone that. Whether you're in a vehicle or not in a vehicle, you should pull off the highway and find a suitable shelter indoors away from this. It's getting ready to cross very near Lisbon, so we're seeing the circulation still in here. It's a little difficult to point out because it is a little bit on the broad side, but that tornado warning still continues until 8 a.m., so at least for another 10 minutes. A fast-moving cell. Again, Amy is going to have a hard time just catching up to it, but she's not trying to intercept the tornado. She's there to find out if one touchdown. She's going to be looking for damage here. So in the meantime, we're going to continue to track this tornado warning, again, in effect until 8 a.m. It is just off to the west of Baltimore in the far extreme western portions of Howard County, and it is getting ready to move into Carroll County here in just the next 5 minutes. Again, moving very, very quickly with that circulation. I'll put this in motion. Everyone can see just how fast this band is moving, and I'm going to zoom out so you can see we could have new development behind it. So these bigger bands are the kind that are gathering up the wind shear that this storm is producing. Remember, wind shear is just a difference in wind speed and direction as you go up in the atmosphere, and what a storm does is it takes that wind shear and concentrates it to the ground. That's how a tornado, we believe, is formed. Again, the science is pretty young on this, but the most important thing here is that when we detect rotation on radar like we are right now, you got to take it seriously enough and take shelter. So this is I-70 West. Do we have a cross street?
Before you get to Mount Airy on 70 there, that exact area between Cooksville and Mount Airy that you were talking about, Gerard.
Okay, that's good to know. And again, this is my concern. Look at the number of vehicles traveling. Some of the high-profile trucks, they may not have any idea until they get in the tornado warning. Again, their phones should be going off. You want to be able to have a way to get these warnings if you're out there. Very fast-moving tornado, and it may actually be buried in rain as I am looking at it right now. It almost certainly is mostly buried in rain, but it's going to be crossing near the Lisbon area as we are seeing it right there between Florence and Lisbon. And then it will continue to move into Carroll County, again, until 8 o'clock. Let me see if I can pick it up on the rotation detector. This is going to be a very difficult one. Again, these are so small for circulations that they can't even really detect it. But you can kind of see it here. The rotation detector is showing this up as weak rotation, but we know that it is there. We've watched it earlier, but over here between Florence and Lisbon is where that circulation is, and it's continuing to move off to the north pretty quickly. So there it is. That's a better look at it. Remember, this is how I need to point this out. The colors on the radar, excuse me, you can see towards the radar is in green, and the radar is in a weird location, but away from the radar is right here. And you can see that towards the radar is really in this location. But what this is a very broad circulation. So it is not necessarily one that we can say definitively has a tornado on the ground, but we have to take it as such because it can be very difficult to see. I'm going to take a quick look. In fact, I'm going to go around and get my other radar that I have here in the studio. I have a secondary one. It gives me a better view of what I'm looking at. And I'm going to bring this on set.
And Gerard, we're getting closer and closer to it. And I just want to point out, I mean, we are not far away. We're 15 minutes away. And look at the scene here. It's like calm and quiet. So we don't want people to let their guard down if they're out traveling and they're not seeing much happening, because things can change within the distance of a couple of miles with systems like this,
Very
right?
good point. Very good point, Amy. And, you know, in a blink of an eye, I've got a better view over here on my radar screen that I have. And this might actually be an easier way to spot it, but it's not easy to see. It looks like the circulation has just now crossed I-70, so it is now passed across, but again, we do not have confirmation of a tornado, and I'm not seeing debris lofted in the air. That's a good thing, but these circulations can be so small but still very intense, and we're talking about a tornado that may only be, you know, tens of yards in width, 20 yards in width, but they're powerful enough to flip a car over as if it was a child's toy.
And this shot right here, Gerard, that we're looking at, this is 70 right near Lisbon. So we tried to zone in exactly where you were talking about. And the one thing we've noticed is more rain through that stretch. Yes. And a lot of cars, as you mentioned, being a dangerous part of this.
All right, well, here's some good news I can pass to any drivers along I-70. Now that it's crossed over, they've already trimmed out the tornado warning out of Howard County. Now it just includes Carroll County. And I believe that might still be until 8 o'clock. Let's double check. Still until 8 o'clock for Carroll County. The circulation's still there, but it's at a weaker state now. That's the good news. But at least any vehicles on I-70 are at least mostly in the clear from this particular cell, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't see more and more of this. Again, that's a pretty strong cell that we have out there, and we could still see more of these circulations pop up, but for right now it is at least crossed over I-70 and now only in Carroll County. So Howard County, you are in the clear from this for the time being. Spreading it out just to quickly show you again, we also still have flash flood warnings going on off to the north, including parts of Howard County, excuse me, parts of Carroll County and Baltimore County. But we need to cover this tornado warning until it expires, at least until 8 o'clock. And then, of course, we're going to continue our coverage here on Fox 45 because we've got more of this sort of thing that could happen today. But the circulation very near Mount Airy now, it's just off to the east of Mount Airy by a few miles at most. And I'm going to get really tight. So I'm hoping I'm pronouncing these communities right, but Gosnell, that would be the community that's most likely in the path at this time. Moving so quickly. By the time I'm talking about it, it's already moved a mile a minute almost, okay? 50 miles an hour is nearly a mile a minute. So the time of arrival is going to be almost immediately. You don't have time to get to that. And just tracking the time of arrival is going to be a difficult one with it moving at 50 to 55 miles per hour. But again, crossing in a matter of moments. So just to show you from one point to the other, there it is in just a matter of 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. It'll move 4.5 miles between now and say around 8 o'clock to 8:03 if it makes it that far. So, again, if you're joining us, we're tracking the threat for tornadoes. I'm going to, again, talk about the fact that we have this tornado threat across the entire area today. This is the first tornado warning of the day. I would love it if it was the only. But we are watching as more of these bands continue to push into the area. And as that happens, we will bring you, of course, each piece of new information that we get. But the good news is that the circulation continues to show some signs of weakening. These kinds of quick spin-ups are exactly that. They spin up very quickly and also can spin down very quickly. So the good news is that they may not last very long. I remember that, you know, when we were talking about that tornado outbreak in June, this is not quite the same animal. Those were slower moving and longer lasting. These will be much quicker but last a lot shorter duration of time, most likely today.
been watching, as we've been watching this, and you're talking about the amount of cars that are out on the roads, when folks like Charlie Gishler from the State Highway Administration always say, if you can stay home, please do. And this is a look from Carroll County. This is right at 140. The reason they're telling you that is because just what Amy and Gerard have been saying. You don't know when you're going to drive into one of the paths of those tornado warnings. And Megan and I, you were talking as Gerard was tracking where this tornado warning was going. There's a major accident in Howard County, a major backup. Those cars have been stuck, not able to go anywhere on that roadway for most of the morning. So if the tornado path were to come through that area where those cars are stuck in traffic, they are now also stuck in the path of the tornado warning. They are not. It has gone past this area, but this is the caution when they say if you can stay off the roads during this time, it is better to do so.
Yeah, you do not want to be a sitting duck in this, do you?
You mentioned this is going to be a threat over the next 6 hours, though. So people who do have to go to work, it's tricky understanding what the threat is and when that could be, especially now as you look to Carroll County where this just happened. So many people were already in the midst of their commute. When this tornado warning happened.
And that's the other reason, as Gerard was mentioning, and as we say every day, make sure you have devices where you've downloaded our Fox 45 News app where you can get the weather alerts.
You want at least
your phone. You need
2 ways of getting that. You're exactly right. Our app's a great one. Of course, you can sign up for text messaging services, and a lot of times phones are set to give you those alerts when that happens. So you at least want to have more than one way. And of course, if you know anyone traveling in that area, always give them a call. Make sure they know. You can't necessarily be sure of that. Some good news, the warning has now expired. We're going to watch this storm very carefully because we could see it get reissued, but in the meantime, we're going to continue to follow what we have going on with the storm in large scale here because we have so much going on. Again, the tornado watch in effect until 2 o'clock, but we can go on and move on. But let's check in once more with Amy if we have her. Okay, we'll catch up with Amy in just a little bit, but I know she's headed to the area and we'll catch up and see if she's found any damage in that area. But stay with us. We'll be tracking this, and of course, we'll be keeping you advised all morning long on what could go on. We'll be right back.
having a disaster affect your life can be the worst day of your life.
Just a little bit, just to show how deep it is, and then I'll go over this one. Oh, we're live in Fells Point, and we are seeing some flooding, high winds. I'll show you the conditions coming up here in just a minute.
Dock Street swallowed by floodwaters here at City Dock in Annapolis. You can see how high these waters already are, and they're continuing to rise. Coming up, we will show you a closer look at these conditions and the impact on businesses as well.
We're tracking thunderstorms out there that have had already a history of producing tornadoes. We have flooding threats, we have winds, we have water, and we are going to continue to be seeing more and more of this moving through the area. We've got basically the core of what is now the remnants of what was Tropical Storm Debby now moving overhead, and it's going to be bringing us the height of what we could see with this weather now in through the morning. And here we go again, guys. Brand new tornado warning. We're going on with it right now for Carroll County, just to the west of Westminster. We just exited with the last tornado warning before the break, and now we're back on again, covering live for you. My computer's going to catch up here. A brand new tornado warning now for Carroll County. And this was what I was concerned about, unfortunately, today. That is until 8:30 p.m. north central Carroll County. And that is located near Westminster, moving at around 40 miles per hour. There it is. You can see it now on screen. So here is our second tornado warning of the day, located again near the communities of New Windsor and Dennings. I'm going to bring up the velocity, and we can see the rotation within it. Now, this one's much more clearly visible on the radar here. So here's how the radar works. This is winds blowing away from the radar here. Towards the radar here, winds blowing away from the radar there. And this is our circulation right in here near Dennings. So we are going to continue to watch this circulation moving at about a 40-mile-an-hour track. We're going to put that track on for you, give you an idea of how long it will take to get to some of these communities. So Tawnytown looks like 8:18 if it makes it up there. That's still a long way out, and even if it crosses over, it might make it to Hanover. Let me get to some of the smaller communities. You folks that are in the way of this, obviously, want to be taking shelter. Away from windows would be the best place to be right now. Interior portion of your house, away from any of those windows. Bathrooms are great places. I know not everyone has a basement around here, but that would be, of course, the best place to be. And I'm going to put a new storm track on here, and we're going to track this for you. Again, a 40-mile-per-hour storm track will put it pretty quickly in the vicinity of Westminster, but it may pass just to the west of Westminster. And we do have Amy. Amy Aronson was on the way to this storm before, and now it's continuing to move at a pretty high rate of speed. She probably is having a hard time catching up to it. But Amy, you may be in the vicinity of where the storm was earlier. Have you come across any damage yet?
You know, we are exactly where the storm was earlier. We're actually approaching Cooksville and Woodbine. And the issue, Gerard, is the rain is coming down pretty heavy. So it's hard to see much in terms of damage because of the reduced visibilities. We've noticed the raindrops have gotten much bigger. And that's the issue, like you've been talking about with tornadoes in this type of tropical setup, because they're so wrapped up in rain. It's hard to even tell what's going on and what you're caught in, and that's the danger of situations like this. So we're going to continue to pass through this area, see if we actually see any damage from the storm's path earlier, and then we're going to take a turn north, and I think we are going to head towards Westminster because, like you mentioned, the storm should pass just west of there, and we don't want to drive into where that storm is right now, but we want to kind of get eyes on any potential damage from it to let folks know what areas to avoid once it ends up moving through. But I can see, I'm looking on my radar too, and it is booking it. So it looks like right now rotation, yeah, just west of Westminster. So we're still quite a distance from there, of course, since we are down in Howard County. So I don't think we'll catch it, but we'll definitely be able to kind of check out damage there once we get that direction. But check out the rain. You can see it coming down on my windshield. Definitely reducing visibility out here, making it not a great situation for drivers on this Friday morning.
Thank you, Amy. And just talking to some folks in Westminster, and that's what they're saying. They said it is absolutely pouring there, and the winds are just whipping. So the tornado may not be there. It has some time to travel, but they are feeling the precursor to whatever is heading that way.
And it's going quickly, and buried in rain is a ticket. And I want to make sure everyone realizes, you know, Amy is not just a meteorologist. She's very good at reading radar, and she's got all the tools to be able to know how to stay out of the way of these things. So she is there following behind the storm, not getting in front of it. So a look at some of the times for some of these communities here with the circulation coming. So Mount Pleasant at 8:20, 8:29. These communities are a little far in the distance, but let's see if I can bring up some of the earlier ones. Looks like we don't have that many, but New Windsor, the circulation's right over New Windsor right now as we are seeing it. And we're going to continue to watch as this storm moves very quickly to the north and will likely be moving out of the county here in probably only about 15 to 20 minutes, moving very, very quickly. So still tracking again this tornado warning in effect until, double check that, 8:30 this morning. That's the the second tornado warning we have had, and more to possibly come. But this is the strongest cell that we have today, moving in very near the Westminster area, but it's likely going to cross to the west of Westminster. So Amanda Hills, Meyer Acres, any of these areas that are within this warning, you need to take shelter. You don't want to take a chance with it. It is moving too quickly to see it and get out of the way. You don't even want to try, because moving at almost a mile a minute, it's moving at almost highway speed. Please just go ahead and get in your safe place now inside your home. In fact, we've got a great way to show exactly what we're talking about here, because as we move into your tornado safety, if you don't have a basement, not everyone's got one. So here's an idea. Put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. You see that bathroom? That would be the ticket right there. Bathrooms have more walls. They have plumbing. They have tile that holds together. You want to get into the bathroom, feel free to cover yourself with blankets, pillows, and get as low to the ground as you can. Windows and flying debris is what you're trying to protect yourself from. And even if the roof comes off, you are going to be in better shape being in the bathroom than anywhere else. So again, this tornado warning until 8:30 this morning. And again, this is just kind of the beginnings of what could be a busy day for us here. But we have to be very careful with these. Now, I'm looking at my other radar right now. The good news is the circulation doesn't look as strong as it did before. And I'm going to be saying this a lot today probably, because these are fast-moving, quick spin-ups. We've been talking about this. They spin up very quickly, and they're gone very quickly. Now, here's one thing to point out. Westminster, you're probably getting hammered with some pretty powerful winds right now, but they are straight-line winds. Right now, they're estimated, just by on the radar here, they're blowing at 50 miles an hour or greater, maybe in 55. You could see some wind damage outside of the tornadic circulation. And again, that's in Westminster itself. But
and Gerard, you were mentioning the moving Upper Mountain areas. You were looking at that Lisbon area. After that move through, take a look. Our traffic map now showing debris, weather closure in that area that system just moved through. Debris and roadway. This was Maryland 75 north of Arlington. So where that system went through, we're now seeing indications there that there is some debris in that area. And then, as you mentioned, Westminster, that rain. Here's a live look now at Maryland 140. Okay. That rain coming down in sheets still here at this hour.
Okay, thank you for that report. We might pass that on to Amy, and she might be able to head in that direction if she's near it, just to see if there was any further damage. But to have a road closure is a good indication of what's going on. And put it back into the reflectivity mode, where you can see the heavy precipitation. You can see the motion moving to the north. We've already seen, again, this storm produce at least one warning, or trigger one warning, and then a second one was triggered right after that circulation died. And that's kind of how these happen. You'll see one circulation spin up, and then it dies, and then it produces another one and another one. You can just have sort of a string of little tornado reports along the way. So that was Amy's shot. You can see her on the road. The road's very wet, and she's in the heavy rainfall. She's going to be looking, as the storm continues to move up to the north pretty quickly, at 40 miles per hour. Amy, hopefully you got that damage report. I'm sure you're going to go and check that out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Where did you say exactly that is right now?
We'll get Megan to relay that to her.
Thank you. And let me pull that up right now, Amy. It was right near Unionville. It looks like we've got Maryland 26 east-west right there. There's weather closure, some debris in the road there, all around that Liberty area there. Actually, that's actually just south of Carroll County, looking at Frederick County right there. Seeing a bunch of issues right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is... Yeah, we can definitely head that direction. We're probably a good 30 minutes from there. We were on our way towards Westminster, but both in the same kind of general direction.
For sure.
You know, it takes a little longer to get around in situations like this because we've got the rain coming down. And we notice when we pick up speed, you know, there's a lot of water on the roadways, so we don't want to hydroplane. So that's another threat today that you want to think about if you do have to venture out. But yeah, we're looking for damage. We've definitely seen some ponding off the side of the roads. I haven't seen any downed trees or anything like that just yet. And we are in the path of actually where that storm was earlier. We're actually just about near Woodbine right now. So that's where this whole thing got started when that first tornado warning popped up. And of course, this is kind of part of the same system. It's just traveling so fast. I mean, looking on my radar right now, it's already approaching northern Maryland. So it's booking it out of here pretty quickly, as Gerard is telling us too. These are fast moving spin up tornadoes, exactly the threat we were worried about today. And as you can see, that's kind of verifying now on radar. But that's why you don't want to be out. You know, you can see these cars. Look at all the water flying up on the roads as they pass by. You don't want to be caught out in a situation like this, because just as fast as they fire up, then you're caught in it.
No doubt. Amy, for the time being, since we still
situation.
have what appears to be some pretty strong winds that are likely impacting near Westminster, and again, this potential tornado, not seeing any debris lofted in the air with it, but since you're in the vicinity, maybe we'll keep you where you're at, and if you want to backtrack down the storm path, feel free. A quick look. Let's bring up the radar full so we can show you some more of these communities here that are in the path of this morning until 8:30, but several of them that are right there. It's in Windsor View, really just to the north of Windsor View now. So Clear Ridge, 817, that's only a few minutes away. Jasontown, 817, as well as Wakefield Mill. And then we'll be seeing it approaching Myers Acres, the Meadows, and Uniontown. Again, these are much smaller communities up in rural Carroll County. Westminster, you are not in this warning officially, but I'm sure you're getting some of the stronger winds. The heavier rain seems to pass by.
I've been talking to folks there, and they're watching you, and they have now moved down to the basement. But they said that the 50-mile-per-hour winds you're talking about, they are feeling the winds whip through that area. So,
and as a result of that, many folks saying in the Westminster area, power outages. We are pulling up the BGE power outage map just to give you an update there. That Carroll County area now seeing a majority of that. 352 active outages, 10,000 customers, a little over that, now being impacted by this. We started this morning at a couple thousand less than that. So now that we're seeing this move through, Gerard, those numbers are going up.
They certainly are. I mean, we're getting the stronger winds with the stronger bands. By themselves, they don't have to produce a tornado. The 40 and 50 mile per hour winds alone with this much rain have been toppling trees onto power lines. But again, the dangers of not just the tornado threat, but the flash flooding threat. Being on the road today is just not a good thing. Carroll County is still under flash flood warning at the same time they have tornado warnings going on. So being on the road in this situation, not a good thing. You'll come across damage. You could get into some flooding. With one exception, of course, we are delivering Amy in a very carefully constructed vehicle to go and find damage. And again, she's trained to be able to know how to avoid these hazards. And she's, of course, extremely tuned in to her radar, knowing what's in front of her. And so she's going to be out there looking for these sorts of things and giving you the updates on what she comes across to give you those damage reports. So don't go out and venture on your own until these warnings are at least out of the area for now. Again, tornado warning for at least the next 15 minutes for Carroll County. The good news is, again, I said the circulation has weakened a lot, but we can't necessarily be certain that it's totally gone. But maybe the warning will be allowed to expire or get canceled here shortly. We'll see if that happens. But in the meantime, we're going to treat this as if something is happening, i.e. a tornado could be on the ground at this moment. But at least it's mostly good news from what I'm seeing on the radar right now. And we've got to continue to watch further down this line. This is what I'm more concerned about now down to the south really quickly. You see all these storms just lined up back there between Dayton, Silver Spring, and into D.C. That line is what's going to push through the Baltimore area. This is your heads up now. Baltimore County, all the way to Anne Arundel County. That line is going to be the threat for today for our tornado threat. And any one of these cells that you see could produce a quick spin-up tornado. So this is prime time now for this to occur between now and, say, at least lunchtime for Baltimore. And then after that point, it'll continue to push off to the north and east. But we're going to be tracking more of these cells. And as you can tell, they have a history of producing tornadoes. That's why we're going to take them seriously. All right, a new scan, we're just waiting on there. It looks like it's coming out in the next 20, 25 seconds. You say that one more time, please? Okay, let's go to Amy. I believe she's come across some flooding, and this just goes to show you that it can happen. Go ahead, Amy.
backtrack a little because this caught our eye, actually caught my driver's eye. Graham saw this off to the side. He said this is normally a stream, and as you can see, it looks more like a flowing river right now. So this is the area that that potential tornado moved past already. Of course, not only producing the potential for tornadic winds, but also heavy rain. So you can see this is just the start of what could be a serious flash flooding situation here, especially if this rain continues to fall into what is normally a stream, but of course now looking like a river. So I think that the thing today is it's a multi-threat situation today. We've got the threat for you know, the spit-up tornadoes, the gusty winds, the down trees, and then stuff like this. Flash flooding will also be a concern. Actually, you can kind of see straight ahead there that some of the water is starting to leave the banks and kind of flow into the roadway here too. And once again, we are just east of Woodbine right now. So this is where that tornadic storm already moved through. It's well to our north now, but even as that moves out, we're encountering some high water and some flooding issues. So this is what we talk about when we talk about flash flood and a flood watch, stuff like this happening today. And gosh, it's only 8:19. So, you know, these tropical downpours continue, and I think we're going to see more and more situations like this.
No doubt. And one thing else, Amy, is that that's the state that creek is now. It could easily break its banks and end up on roads. And remember that you may see water going across the road. You have no idea if the road is still there. Please don't drive through any floodwaters. Please don't even try. It's not worth the risk to your car or your life. Just turn around, don't drown. That's the key for today. Again, the most dangerous thing about tropical systems is actually going to be the flash flooding. In the meantime, we still do have to track these tornadoes because they are fast moving. They can be much faster at causing damage, of course, than even flash floods. So continue to follow this tornado warning officially in effect until 8:30 for Carroll County. A few of these communities in the path. Still Myers Acres, Amanda Hills. It's going to be crossing Old Tawny Town Road here in just about the next 5 to 10 minutes or less. I would say really closer to 5 minutes, even 3 to 5 minutes. But still some strong winds accompanying with this storm, even if you're not in the tornado zone here. We're talking about still some stronger winds. Luckily, I can say Westminster proper, it's still to your west. It's likely going to miss. In fact, it will miss Westminster. So you guys can at least come out of your tornado-safe shelters, but still stay indoors. You could still have some gustier winds, but the tornado threat for Westminster is off to your west. So only in folks that are in the far extreme portions of Westminster would have to worry about this. So we're talking anywhere along State Highway 31, Avondale Road, up towards Uniontown Road, and along State Highway the 832, which is Old Tawny Town Road as well. Anywhere back to the west of Westminster, that's where we're still watching this. So Allendale, you guys are next here, it looks like. But again, I'm going to switch back to the velocity to look for the circulation. You will see there is nothing glaring about it. Nothing glaring with a circulation as opposed to what it was. When I back it up to where it was, you can see that there was a much stronger evidence of a circulation here when we had winds going towards the radar here, winds going away from the radar there, and that's the circulation. That was at 8 o'clock. That's what prompted the warning. But from that point on, we saw the circulation essentially broaden and weaken. But that's all it takes. The time that we see these circulations, we can see a tornado touch down and be gone in almost a flash. And again, they also are moving at around 50 miles an hour, so we can't see these coming. They're very difficult to warn for. That's why we want everyone to be aware, not just of this storm, but all the other ones down to the south. We could also see more power outages and flooding with this, as you just heard from Amy Aronson, as we are going to see more of these storms moving in. All right, so Carroll County, we're still following you, but I'm still giving everyone a heads up towards Howard County, towards Anne Arundel County, eventually Baltimore County. These other cells that are over D.C. are intensifying, strengthening, and could continue to grow and then eventually rotate just like this other one that we are seeing. And I'll put on the storm reports, but we have not seen a report of a tornado from this cell that crossed through Howard and Carroll County yet. That's the good news, but it's still very, very early. We may have not gotten the report in yet. It may have not been reported just yet, but we will continue to watch this cell. Please, please.
For those folks in Westminster Now breathing a sigh of relief for those who live in the Westminster area. Do you let your guard down? I mean, you're talking about a 6-hour day here of potential storms coming through. Can we see another warning for some of those other areas that have already been passed in the near future?
Westminster's not out of the woods for sure. This one band still got to completely cross. There could be more cells that ride this band and move across Westminster, and there could be a secondary band that follows. Until this watch is totally out of your area, you got to be on guard. You got to be ready to jump into a safe place just like this, because these warnings are going to pop out and be very quick moving circulation. So Westminster, you can come out of your safe place for now.
So the folks that Megan and I have been talking to in there, they've been texting in updates, and they said we're good. And it was tracking right along with what you were saying, Gerard, in terms of the timing of it. They were feeling those 50-mile-per-hour winds at one point and that whipping rain, and then the next text was we're good. At the same time, you were saying it had moved west of that. So they're not feeling the effects, but I guess like you're saying, this day is still early.
Oh yeah, this is the beginnings of what we knew would be at least a threat. Now all I can do is hope that the circulation will continue to weaken and then move
much
out.
Calmer there in Westminster.
And the tree on the right, actually, if you were tuning in just a few minutes ago, about 10 minutes ago, that tree on the right was waving and you could see the winds moving in. And now, just as you predicted,
about a calm. Amazing. So, you know, again, we still have another 6 minutes on this warning, but I'm watching as the circulation is getting ready to cross out of Carroll County, again, moving at such a speed, and then eventually getting ready to cross into Pennsylvania.
Looking at that map, I mean, it's still leaving a lot of rain, so it's out of the area, but what it dumped there, it doesn't mean you should just get on the road and go about your day. I mean, there's a lot of water on the roads. You need to worry about the hydroplaning for sure, and, you know, coming across those puddles in areas where the rain just dumped a lot of water in those areas. So still a lot of reason to be cautious this morning. Yeah,
we need to be for a multitude of reasons. Again, even though maybe a tornado threat might have exited for a moment, doesn't mean that the next cell couldn't get to you, not to mention all this rain bringing the flooding threat over a long period of time. We still have to wait. Okay, the good news is the tornado warning has now been canceled, so we're 5 minutes early on that. We could easily see more, but Carroll County, they have canceled the warning. It was in effect until 8:30, and that has now been allowed to expire, so we are no longer under a tornado warning in Carroll County. That'll catch up on that computer there. But I want to bring everyone's attention to what is still to come. You can see the flash flood warnings right now. The D.C. area has got that tornado warning, but all of these storms, that entire line, is going to continue to track off to the east and northeast. We will likely see more of these cells, if they are not producing tornadoes, will produce flash flooding across the area. This is the heaviest band that we have to come, and it was expected to move through the area later this morning, as we are seeing right now. But at the very least, we can turn back to our normal programming. We'll be able to follow this. We'll be back in just a bit. I believe we're going to break, or what do we have?
We're going to check in with Amy.
Yeah, let's check on Amy once. Yeah.
She was in an area that had a lot of flooding. We're hearing reports of flooding in basements in that Carroll County area. Amy, what are you seeing now as you're making your way through that stretch?
Yeah, we just left that because honestly the water was coming up over the roadway there and I didn't want to stick around too long. And of course you never want to drive through a flooded street. We should remind folks of that. If you're traveling around the area, maybe heading into work, and you encounter a street or a road that's flooded, you always want to find an alternate route. So we always say don't drown, turn around. Keep that in mind today in your travels. We are actually now back to traveling north. We are going to head towards that Westminster area and just see if we actually see any damage there. We'll take a look at the path this storm has taken and see if we end up seeing any down trees or any damage from it. But we do know that this line of tropical downpours is now pushing eastward. So what we'll do is first we'll head up to Carroll County, and then we'll kind of keep an eye on it and just watch where it's headed, and then head to any potential areas where maybe damage is being seen in a safe manner, of course, because you do want to use cautions on morning like this. You can see from our windshield here, heavy rain is coming down. We've seen some down trees already. So just use extreme caution as you travel around this morning. And your best bet, really just stay home and stay safe, because of course we are weather alert today. So 8:27, we are going to keep an eye on conditions here and keep you all posted with what we're seeing so you don't have to venture out this morning. Stay safe, folks.
All right, Amy, thank you so much for that. And like she said, stay safe, stay home if you can, but make sure you just keep watching us because we're going to keep you updated about what's happening out there.
We'll be back after the break. It's 8:28 on Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning on this Friday, August 9th. I'm Patrice Sanders.
I'm Taylor Stewart.
It is a weather alert Friday. We have been tracking tornado warnings, rain, winds, all of the above throughout the course of this morning, and still more to come potentially.
That's right. Our chief meteorologist, Roger Bailey, has been tracking this system. I love the description you just gave ahead of the break about thinking about this like a train on this weather alert day in terms of those tornadoes.
So what we have today, guys, is exactly that, a band of multiple cells in a row, and they're all traveling off to the north. I'll show you the radar in just a minute, and it's essentially that. It's like being stuck at a train, and it could be moving over the top of you with multiple cars or multiple cells. But we'll get to that in just a moment. First, this tornado watch in effect until 2 p.m. today, and for good reason. We've already had several tornado warnings issued as we have seen circulations within this band of heavy thunderstorms. Also within it is that threat for flooding. It's just been very torrential rain. That flood watch is in effect until 8 o'clock. Now to the radar, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Here it is. That band of showers and thunderstorms is a big line, and they're continuing to move in a line off to the north-northeast, but that line just has multiple cells in there. So you could be hit by multiple cells within this line, again, like a train with many cars moving over the top of you, but these training storms are also leading to the flooding threat. Right now, we do not have a tornado warning in effect, but we could easily see these cells moving into the areas of Baltimore County in the next hour or so, and we need to be on guard for that. The tornado threat is going to be up. We're going to have more on this coming up here in just a bit, and track this for you hour by hour.
All right, Gerard, thank you so much for that. Our Fox 45 News teams are spread out across Maryland, seeing how Debby is impacting our communities firsthand. Our live team coverage kicks off with Olivia Dance. She's been in Baltimore all morning, where the wind has not given you a break since we came on the air, Olivia.
Patrice, the wind has been steady, and some of these gusts are really powerful. You can almost lean back, not right now, but you can lean back when some of these gusts come, and it's really quite strong. But really, what we're seeing now is flooding in Fells Point here. So this flooding is rising rapidly. When we first got out here about 30 minutes ago, it was right here, and it ended there, and you can see how deep it is now. But now it is starting to come up here onto the dock. Rising quite rapidly. And I think a reason for that, because we're not really seeing much rain, we're just seeing bursts of rain. But really, I think it's because of the wind. So the wind is just pushing water from the harbor here. You can see as it is just hitting these boats, really quite choppy. It's starting to come up over the dock as well. So we're definitely seeing some flooding, I think, just from the wind and the choppiness that it's causing in the water here. I did speak with the crews here for the water taxi and the harbor connector. Not surprising, but they are not operating today. You can see that they've been on the boat there, just trying to secure the dock and the boat. Really, they've been on there for about an hour now. So again, not operating as to be expected. I mean, just take a look at this water here. You can see it starting to come in. So this is what we've been seeing. And this really started about an hour ago, that we started to see the water levels rise from the wind and come in just like this. And as a result, now we have this flooding over here. The city, though, did prepare for this. They were handing out sandbags to businesses and residents here yesterday. Some of the businesses right on the waterfront have those sandbags out, so they're prepared. Hopefully the water doesn't rise all the way up there over the street, but again, as you can see, we are starting to see some flooding here, and it is rising rapidly. This is really just within about an hour. So these are the conditions here in Fells Point, but let's take a look at where Shannon is. Shannon, where are you at, and what is it like there?
So a lot of flooding, Olivia, here in Annapolis. We're at City Dock. This is the heart of Annapolis. It's also an area notorious for flooding. And this event, this weather event, is really no different. But you got to think about the impact this is having on the businesses. Take a look as Dock Street is just swallowed by these floodwaters. And what we're noticing is that the waters are rising. And you can see what looks to be business owners trying to get some of that water out of their shop. We know so many of these businesses were severely impacted by the historic flooding that this area saw back in January. So they're still recovering, and here comes more flooding. In fact, the mayor here was telling me that they expect at least 4 feet of flooding in this area. So walk with me here as I show you kind of what we've been seeing. Actually, just since we've been here in the past hour, we've seen the waters rise. We feel these gusts of wind really come and kind of just take your breath away a little bit, make it hard for you to stand. But if you look here, this is our tripod where our camera sometimes sits. So there was no water here when we first got here. This was completely dry land, and now this is where we're at, probably about an hour later since we've gotten here. We have this caution tape that we have taped up to show you kind of these wind speeds. So Emma, if you want to take a look over here at this caution tape, not moving too bad right now, but you'll notice sometimes when that wind picks up, it gets really just whipping around. And so we tied that kind of as a point of reference so you can see just how bad these winds are getting. And then more flooding, just to show you. I mean, this memorial over here normally isn't even underwater. This is normally dry land. I mean, these are the steps right here. These are steps where people normally sit and stand, and look what I'm walking in now. A lot of debris too in the water, dirty water that we're seeing here. So again, the big warning here is to just stay inside, really, if you can, and stay safe. Be smart, and don't drive through any kind of roadways with flooding in it. That's probably the most dangerous thing you could do. And so just make sure you're using caution as this storm is not over.
And Shannon,
we'll send it back to you guys in the studio for now.
And Shannon, I mean, we always give that advice, don't drive through, but even during your live shot, we saw a car drive through. So just, again, another word of caution, don't do that, because that water has risen significantly since you've been out there this morning. And we saw the ducks.
And unfortunately, Patrice, Yeah, you know what? There's one, group of creatures at least that is happy about this flooding, and that's the family of ducks that we've seen. They're swimming. I mean, even in the roadways, it is really, kind of funny to see, and just gives you some perspective of the severity of the flooding when you see Dock Street just kind of taken over by a herd of ducks. But yeah, like you were saying, I mean, we've seen a lot of cars driving through flooded waterways since we've been out here. And you got to remember that even though your car is heavy things can float. And I mean, even right now, as we're talking right now, we see these cars driving through. And again, this water is just rising. So that's the most dangerous thing you can do. And the city is warning against it and say a lot of deaths, storm-related deaths, are related to flooding and driving through flooding. So it's definitely not something that you want to do. Just be cautious as you head out.
Right.
As I see another car behind her venturing through the water.
She also said they're going to get up to 4 feet of flooding,
which
there.
is incredible. I mean,
you can't drive through that.
That's very true. Well, now let's actually get a first-hand look at the roads.
That's right. We've got meteorologist Amy Aronson continuing our Weather Authority team coverage. Pouring rain, and you've been out in the Carroll County area. Where exactly are you now, Amy?
So we are getting awfully close to Westminster, and as you can see, we've got sheets of rain falling down. So yeah, we are traveling right through that line of tropical downpours, and the rain has not let up. So what we're seeing is what you're seeing: reduced visibility, some ponding on the roadways. You do want to reduce your speed, go a little slower than you usually do. You can see the headlights coming in the distance. You also want to make sure your headlights are definitely on this morning. Not a pretty situation out here. So we've been driving straight through this line of heavy rain, actually heading up that path the potential tornado took. We haven't been able to see much damage just because we can't see a whole lot because of the rain that is falling down. But we are going to continue to travel towards Westminster and just kind of check out the scene there and around Carroll County to see if any damage was done from that potential tornado. And then, of course, continue to show you road conditions, too, because as you can see, fortunately, there aren't a ton of folks out on this messy morning, but we've got that rain that is just pouring down on our windshield. This is going to be ongoing as this line of downpours continues its track eastward. So this is going to be the scene for much of the day today. This is exactly why we are weather alert. We're seeing so many threats. We're seeing the heavy rain. We're seeing gusty winds. We've seen some flooding. I know I saw that one stream coming out of its banks in Howard County. I think that's going to be the common scene. And then we get the brief spin-up tornadoes, too, on top of all of this. So your best bet today is to stay home, stay safe if you can, avoid being out in this mess, and just let Debbie pass on through. It is a quick-moving storm. I know Gerard's in studio keeping a close eye on all these things, too. And we've got eyes all around Baltimore. And then, of course, we've got Taylor in studio also keeping an eye on what folks are seeing today. Taylor?
All right, we'll send it over to Patrice.
All right. Yes, I mean, the whole team is here, all hands on deck. We are continuing to monitor Tropical Storm Debbie as it is making its way through Maryland. That looks pretty calm there in the city compared to the areas we're seeing in some of the counties right now. But just ahead, Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey, are we? Oh, he said just wait. He's got more. There's rain, there's floods, there's winds. He's covering it all. 8:40 is the time. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
We're still here tracking what is just the remnants of Tropical Storm Debby, but producing a lot of impacts across the area, including flooding and also the tornado threat. We've already been talking about a few tornado warnings in the area. No tornado warnings at this moment, but we have that tornado watch, meaning conditions are favorable for the entire area until 2 o'clock today. So we're going to continue to watch as several bands of heavy rain and these tropical systems here could easily produce new tornado warnings. But in the same time, we are getting lots of flash flooding warnings. So Howard County especially has a brand new flash flood warning in effect. And we're going to show you this really quickly as I put the radar on pause, and you'll be able to see exactly where we're talking about. So this is until 11:30. Excuse me, that shows Montgomery County. There it is, Howard County until 11:30. That does include Dayton towards Clarksville. Flash flood warning in effect. But also, Carroll County, you guys have been under flash flood warning since probably around 4 in the morning, and this has now been extended until 10:45 as this new band of rain is moving overhead and will likely exacerbate the flash flooding going on there. So be prepared. More heavy rain on top of what you've already seen, about 3 to 4 inches coming your way. And we're continuing to follow, of course, more of the flooding. That flood watch in effect until 8 o'clock. And we are likely going to see this band of heavy rain, showers, and thunderstorms moving into the Baltimore area as we move into the next few hours. So heads up Baltimore County and Arundel County, as we are going to be watching for more and more of these showers and thunderstorms to produce flooding and potentially tornadoes. We'll have an update coming up.
We're going to keep you updated. We're going to have outlooks on the forecast from our Weather Authority team throughout the morning, but you can also always download our free Fox 45 Weather Authority app. In case you're out on the roads and you need to see what's happening in real time where you are, the app will help you out.
And it should already be in your phone. It is in your app store. Just search WBFF, scan that flow code on your screen. Make sure you have that, especially today. As we continue to track Derby this morning, we want to take a look on the road. You can see it's already a soggy mess. Just ahead, State Highway Patrol will join us after the break.
And the Ravens, that's the other big story today, if we can actually get to that. The preseason opener is scheduled for tonight at 7:30. All of our fingers are definitely crossed, but stay tuned to Fox 45 News as we are awaiting final confirmation about what is going to happen with that game. 8:46 is the time you're watching. Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Weren't around earlier, is that why you don't need to change? Do you think you're going to need to change your battery?
I will in a second. Hi, I'm sorry, I'm talking to a lot of people at one time. Hi, Tina.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
We have the right super in here, guys? It isn't. Okay. So right now we've seen kind of a line of showers kind of push up towards Westminster. They've already had, I'm not sure if it's confirmed, a tornado up there. What are the major concerns for those low-lying areas too? So I want to kind of talk about that as we've still seen people driving through standing water.
Right. Okay.
And just any other precautions folks should take other than stay home, because if they have to get out there today, what should be in their car?
Right, because I want to get home.
Right, like.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you. We'll be up in just a minute.
Okay, great.
We don't want people to lose total control of their vehicles. Slow speeds down, do not be in a hurry, and give yourself plenty of extra time. Make sure you have plenty of fuel in your tank and all that type of thing.
This morning, as we continue to track Debbie, we want to make sure we're monitoring those roads for you, especially as you have the line of showers moving northward. We've got Tina Register with the State Highway Patrol. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, first, we've already seen showers start coming down. Situations seem to change very quickly. What is the major concern on your vantage point when you think about those low-lying areas?
Well, just as you've been reporting about all day, the issues really are the high winds, the heavy rains, and the flooded areas, and the potential for flash flooding. So our crews, we're ahead of the game, making sure that storm drains were cleared of debris. We had organized to have tree contractors ready to be able to, when any down trees have been reported, and they've been out all throughout the storm and will continue. And that's the areas that we're looking at, some of the areas that could be flooding, and there could be some road closures. And we really want to make sure folks, if they have to be out and they come across some water or in the roadways, that they don't drive through it. That certainly is a danger. And we always encourage people to turn around if possible.
And we've been saying all day, try to stay home if you can. But for folks who cannot stay home today, what are just some key things to make sure you have in your vehicle with you throughout the day?
Well, first of all, we always say, go slow. And when you see weather, the posted speed limits, they're really for ideal weather. And we certainly today, and as today goes on, the weather is not ideal. So take it slow. And because one of the areas that we are concerned about is, hydroplaning. In addition to that, we mentioned about not going through any areas that have high water. And they may also see some, as you reported today, some of the down wires and trees, and really for folks to make sure, don't try to move any of that. Even some of the trees, there could be some hiding under the trees, could be some live wires. And if they encounter some traffic signals that are out, so if they come to an intersection, treat it as a four-way stop sign. And then lastly, if they do break down their vehicles, try to make sure they pull their vehicles far off as road as possible, put their hazards on, and dial pound 77 for help to be able to assist them.
Okay, 77 for help. We're monitoring those MDOT cameras throughout the morning. We'll check back in for a closer look at some of the areas we perceive will be issues throughout the day.
Thank you.
All right, it is 8:51 now. We want to get back over to Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey, who is tracking what Debbie is bringing through our area.
Thanks, guys. We're going to bring up the latest radar right now, and what we have going on is still some very heavy showers. Numerous flash flood warnings ongoing here. If we can show the graphics here full screen, I'll get to them because there's so many that have just popped up. And many of them have just been in the last 10 minutes or so. Brand new one for Carroll County until 10:45 a.m. That does include Westminster. You can see the heaviest of the rainfall, but again, just to the northeast of Westminster, again, another flash flood warning until 10:45. But that does include Howard County until 11:30. These heavy bands have not just had a history of producing some flooding, but also it's triggered a couple of tornado warnings. Now, we are not under tornado warning at this time, but we have to be ready for it as we'll be looking at, again, that chance for a few of these to happen at any moment today. So tornado watch in effect until 2 o'clock today. That does include the entire area. They will start to trim this back from west to east as these showers, those lines are moving through, but the flooding threat is still also going to exist until 8 o'clock. There's that heavy band right there. You can see all the flash flood warnings in existence, and the flash flood watch is at least in effect until 8 o'clock. The heaviest of the bands, this is going to be the main show. You can see it's a train of them moving off to the north, but that line is continuing to progress off to the east very slowly here. So that's the problem, is that the train of heavy rain isn't moving very much, but the tornado threat within it could be moving very quickly at 50 miles per hour. So Baltimore County, this is your heads up again. This is going to be approaching, moving through the area here in just the next 1 to 2 hours. And that's also going to be the case for Anne Arundel County. Within this, again, you have to expect the potential for flooding, some downed trees and power lines as there's some gusty winds within there. And again, the threat that a quick spin up tornado could occur with the strongest of these cells moving through. We've continued to watch as these impacts from what is now just a remnant low of Tropical Storm Debby is now just producing extremely heavy rainfall. The flooding and tornado threats will be higher, but the wind damage threat will also be a bit of a problem here. So we are continuing to be weather alert today as we will be watching those highest impacts through this late morning through the early afternoon. An additional 1 to 4 inches of rainfall could be possible with any of these storms. Give you a quick look at Future Scan before we get to some better news. Through your day, we're going to continue to watch this band move through. A secondary one is possible to form behind it, but that is not a guarantee. Once this main band is through, that is going to be the biggest threat that will be past us, but it will not be gone until closer towards your afternoon. The good news is this moves out by your late evening. Ravens fans, we should be good to go on the game, although the field is going to be sopping wet, but at least you'll get some good weather to come as we move into this weekend and into next week. Drier with low humidity and mid-80s.
That was the best news of the day, that the game is good to go. Gerard, you just made a lot of people smile. But our Fox 45 News live team coverage on this Weather Alert Friday will continue because we've got a long day until the game.
So stick with us for the latest conditions in your neighborhood and the impacts of Debby. Stick with Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. All right, we're back at the latest on Debby, but first, here's today's America Steals and Deals.
The following segment is sponsored by Naki.
I take a lot of videos because my daughter is a college athlete and I always want to record her volleyball games. And there is nothing more frustrating than getting that, quote, storage full notification, which I get all the time and I hate it. Well, here is the solution. This is the memory. It's a digital backup device that will save your photos and videos, but free up the memory on your phone so you won't miss a moment. I love that. And I love the memory because you can also charge your device while you're backing up, and it can hold hours of video and thousands of photos. This is another thing I really love. You can scan copies of photos. Isn't that cool? That would normally just sit in a shoebox somewhere in my house, and even colorize old photos that are fading. I really love that. I have some of my grandparents that I want to colorize. You can even scan important documents for your records too. Now, my daughter actually asked to steal this because she is always running out of storage. So I'm definitely, well, I have 2 daughters, so I'm definitely going to get both of them one of these. And look at all these fun colors that you can choose from. Well, right now we're offering 50% off. You heard me right. These are going to sell out. 50% off the memory. So head to asadeals.com for this exclusive offer.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Good Day Baltimore.
All right, good morning on this Weather Alert Friday, August 9th, and it's Weather Alert because, yet again, another tornado warning.
In Carroll County, meteorologist Gerard Jabali has been tracking this. You mentioned Carroll County wasn't out of the woods and that this could happen, and here we are yet again. That camera, Gerard, as we pull it up from Westminster here, you can see that wind once again. What are you seeing?
Oh, well, we've got this tornado warning until 9:15 for Carroll County, and this is some of the exact same area that we saw earlier that was under a tornado warning before, but this is a little bit closer to Westminster, the very edge of that circulation just on the north side of Westminster, continuing to move off to the north. Looks like at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. This circulation was triggered very soon, just before we came back, and now we're back to seeing again another quick spin up for that area. And this may have hit right across near Amanda Hills and now is headed very near Mount Pleasant. This is very quickly moving off to the north, so already Westminster, by the time you got the warning, it was already almost past you at highway speeds. But stay in your safe place for now until we know for sure you are in the clear. But again, this tornado warning just got triggered. We do have Amy Aronson, who's there in Westminster. Let's find out what part she is in. She's in some torrential rain, so she's got to be very close to this. Amy, what can you see and where exactly are you?
Yeah, you know, Gerard, we were literally driving through downtown Westminster and my phone buzzed and I pulled up my radar and sure enough, yeah, this warning popped right up. So I was actually trying to direct us out of the box because we are in a vehicle which we know is not a safe place during a tornado. Fortunately, we are just south of where it looks like the rotation is right now. So we are still in Westminster and you can see the scene here. Very heavy rain falling down, strong winds too. But fortunately, we are just south of where the potential rotation is right now. You never want to drive through a tornado. It's not a safe spot. I know you've been highlighting safe spots all morning. As you can see from the view of our car, this is not safe at all. Tornadic winds could, flip over a vehicle like this. So not a safe place to be in your car. If you are in Westminster, you want to head to a safe spot, preferably, basement, interior room. Because being in a vehicle, definitely not safe. But we're seeing how quick these fire up. We wanted to go to Westminster to see if there was damage from that prior storm and just see the scene here. And before we knew it, we were in another tornado warning. And not only do we have that threat, you can see all the water that's kind of spraying up from our vehicle here. We've been seeing that all around. I know we're also included on a flash flood warning here currently. So that popped up when we got to this area too. And we've been seeing a lot of high water spill into the roadways. So kind of a double threat here. But I'm looking at my radar and that box is already trimmed out of Westminster. So we're already out of the tornado warning, which makes me feel relieved as a driver on the roadways right now. It looks like that box shifted a little to the north, right, Gerard?
Fast movers today, very fast movers. That's a dangerous thing, but also a good thing in a strange way because it's dangerous that it can come up on you that fast, but it can get out of the way that quickly. So Westminster, as you just heard Amy said, yes, they trimmed out the warning for them. They are in the clear. We still have rotation to the north between Mount Pleasant all the way to the border here, so we have to follow this all the way up. But this is difficult to follow for multiple reasons, and Amy will tell you. First of all, the radar is a little distant from these storms far to the north, and we're trying to detect these circulations that are very low to the ground, but the beam is aimed above it. And remember, the Earth's curvature and the beam is pointed at an angle we can't see down to the very ground level. That's why Amy is there. She's looking looking to see and give us ground truth on what happened. So she's trying to stay out of the way of the storm very smartly. She's very good at making sure that she stays out of the way of this, but also making sure that she can follow behind it to report on what she sees. So again, this tornado warning in effect until 9:15. I'm going to get a quick track on there to show you because it is moving rather quickly out of the area, but by the time we are going to be even at 9:15, it may be completely gone. So it's still moving northeast at around 40 miles per hour. So there's not that many communities up here, but Mount Pleasant, this is right over the top of you right now. I'll do a fresh track and we'll get at least some way of knowing here. I need to adjust the speed. Amy's going to continue to follow what we have out there if she comes across any damage in the area. But in the meantime, let me give a track to show the communities that are in the way. So Union Mills, that's at 9:07. Just a few minutes from now. Looks like Cherrytown, but that could be right across the border by 9:09. So most of these locations are across the border into out of Carroll County here, but the warning's in effect, and again for another 10 to 15 minutes. We'll quickly look at the shear rate, and this is showing the rotation within there, that green, that darker green, just north of Mount Pleasant going towards Greenfield. This is the area that we're talking about. So it looks like that we're going to see that just along Deep Run Road up towards Old Hanover Road in just the next 5 to 10 minutes. Then we'll see it actually cross out of the way. And again, this is some of the same areas that were just under a tornado warning before, and we're talking about 15, 20 minutes ago. And so this train, this line of storms is going to continue to track off to the north while the entire line progresses to the east. And so we still have to go through Baltimore County, we still have to go through Anne Arundel County, and also towards Harvard and Cecil County before we are in the clear everywhere. Westminster, the only thing I can tell you, good news, is the main band seems to have mostly passed by you. So we are at least mostly in the clear there for now. Hopefully we can get, we have something over here.
Reports from folks that we know in Westminster that they said it is calm once again.
But look at this camera. I just found this, Gerard. This is the state line, the Maryland-Pennsylvania line, right past where you were talking there. It's north of Manchester, and that camera just started shaking as you said it was heading that way. So that wind now picking up, and it was still a few minutes ago, and lots of water as those cars are moving through. But this is that area that you were saying is the trajectory for next.
Yeah, I mean, the rain obviously is torrential. That already is a hazard, and I hope these drivers are getting the alerts because these are moving very quickly. These circulations embedded in the line are moving 40 to 50 miles per hour, and that can creep up on you, not creep, it can fly upon you.
Look at the rain.
That fast.
And it's just so interesting because Megan and I were asking you earlier, you know, about an hour ago, we saw the first tornado warning go through the Carroll County area, and we said, okay, so Debbie is moving north. If it already went through Carroll County, does that mean they're now in the clear and that's not an issue? And you said, no, it's a train that has several cars. That was one train that went through, but all the other train cars coming behind it could potentially bring with it that kind of weather again.
We could have more than one train today, too. First of all, this train...
I was just dealing with the car.
was coming.
The caboose has to go by on this train first. A secondary one, I'm hoping, will be weaker. That's the most important thing. The bigger this train is, the weaker the next one will be. And then, again, that could form later on into the day further east and northeast. But we have to be prepared. And again, until this threat is totally gone, we have at least one train of showers that could be producing not just flash flooding, but tornado warnings. And a secondary one is possible to form today.
And the concern, Gerard, too, when you talk about that, I mean, this morning you said this could be a 6-hour event here. That is a lot of rain. People already in the Carroll County area have basements that have flooded at 9 o'clock this morning, and we have several hours of rain still to go on this.
Torrential rain.
It's moving very slowly. This train is right over the top of them, and while it will take probably 30 to 45 minutes minimum to cross, in that time you could easily get another 2-3 inches of rainfall on a saturated ground. That will turn to flooding very quickly. So
and
that's
then down
the danger.
Trees
and that's the Carroll County area. But we were talking about, we took a shot of the city earlier, and I said, oh, look how nice and calm that looks. And you said, just wait, because Baltimore City, we've seen the waters rise out there, but you said that's definitely not out of the woods.
No, it's not. But again, we're almost out of the woods with this tornado warning. Let me get back up to it. The very tail of where that circulation is just about to cross the line near Greenfield, near West Manheim. I'm not sure if this is the highway that we had on your camera, what highway that was.
That's right near West Manheim.
Okay.
This is Old Hanover Road, Route 30 right there that we had up on the screen, the camera shaking.
So they're still in the heaviest of the rainfall, but at the very least, the circulation is almost out of Carroll County and then moving into Pennsylvania here in just the next 1 to 2 minutes. And then this storm will be at least off the radar for now. But look at all the others we have down there we have to deal with, and any one of these could produce a very quick spin up circulation. Again, while we have a warning, these are not confirmed. We have the ability to see debris lofted in the air in ideal conditions. This is not the kind of situation where the radar can detect debris in the air very easily. And just because we don't see debris in the air does not mean it isn't happening. We can only positively confirm it. We cannot negatively confirm that something is not happening. So, the very least, I can say while we did not see debris lofted in the air, we can only hope that it didn't. Right now, the tornado warning is now about to be canceled because the storm has moved out of the warned area. But we still have to worry about everybody else to the south through the rest of Carroll County, eastern Carroll County, now going through Howard County, and now Baltimore County. You're next here. This is going to be it, with the heaviest of the rainfall, with the strongest of the winds, and the greatest of the tornado threats. I'm going to put the flash flood warnings back on really quickly because those have been, of course, numerous today along that line. We can expect this to continue, but for now, at least, the tornado warning is now set to expire. We can toss to break if we're ready for that. Otherwise, yeah, the tornado warning has expired. We're ready. It's canceled. We're ready to go to break. We'll come back with an update on what's to expect here soon enough, but we're going to be following this very closely for you. Keep it right here on Fox 45 with your Weather Authority. We'll keep you advised.
9:13. It has been a busy weather alert morning. Debby continues to hit the Baltimore region as this morning is moving along. Right now, we want to go out to Olivia Dance. She's in downtown Baltimore with what she is seeing there. Olivia.
Well, Patrice, here is the rain. I know all morning I was talking about these bursts of rain, and it really wasn't very steady, but now it is really coming down. The other big thing here, of course, is the wind, and the wind is actually causing flooding here in Fells Point. I want to just show you how rapidly this flooding has been rising just within the last hour or so. So when we first got out here about an hour ago, the flooding stopped here, partially because of the storm drain there, but now it is all in this area. Soon, I wouldn't be surprised if the dock here in Fells Point is covered in water. So let's take a look at the harbor. This wind, I imagine, is just pushing the water forward, and it is coming up onto the dock here. And let's take a look at the boats. You can just see how choppy it is. If we want to pan to the boats here, the water taxi and the harbor connector crews were out there the past couple hours securing the boat, securing the dock. Not surprising, they did tell me that they are not operating today, which makes sense if you just, just given, when you look out here at the harbor and how choppy it is. But now we are seeing rain, of course, the wind, and now flooding here in Fells Point. The city did prepare for this, though. They were handing out sandbags to businesses and residents all day yesterday. Some of the businesses on the waterfront there did have sandbags in front of their door. Definitely a smart idea because, this water is coming up rapidly. So they definitely were prepared for this. But, this water is rising rapidly. So if you're in this area, just be safe and probably best just to be indoors today. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Olivia, you were right when you said that's coming up rapidly. That has changed so much since we started this morning. We'll check back in with her in just a little bit.
And just an update for all of you, we've been talking about the wind. Actually, Olivia has been experiencing that for hours. BGE outages, we are now up to 12,623. That's up. We had 10,000 about an hour ago. And
so every time we say things like that, we were just saying that a second ago, and then Gerard said, just wait. Yep. Because he is already seeing that this storm is not done with us and so much more is coming. Let's head out to Shannon Lilly. She's been tracking the flooding in Annapolis. And Shannon, what we've seen from your area has just been incredible.
And that's not even high tide yet.
Right, and we're just reaching that point. So we just spoke with someone with emergency management, and they do believe that now at this point it's over 4 feet. It's reaching that point, and that's a historic level that they say, unconfirmed reports, is the 9th highest, the 9th worst flooding that this area has seen. So yeah, really bad flooding that we're seeing. And now I'm with a business owner, and man, you guys got hit like in January, now you're getting hit again. Just introduce us to you one more time and tell me about your business.
Yeah, my name's Fade Storm. I have a little ice cream store that I've had for 48 years down here on the city dock, Storm Brothers.
You know what, and I think we spoke with you back in January, our teams did at least, when you saw just absolute devastation.
Yeah, we lost everything back then, but it was because the power was out, so we couldn't run our pumps. Now we have that taken care of.
And you've been here for 48 years, you said. Yeah. So now you've become almost a pro at dealing with this type of flooding. Tell me what you've done, because you said your business is totally fine right now, right?
Yes, we built waterproof barriers that have seals around the edges, and we just simply attach them to our door jamb. And then any water that comes in, we have 5 different size pumps, so we can accommodate whatever the flow is that comes into the store. Right now, the only flow we have coming into the store is from the city's wastewater, from the toilets and the floor drain, but we have plugs for those so that we don't have to suffer that. And we have slight leaking from the adjacent buildings through their brick walls.
I saw you guys kind of here. You had to wade through the water. Yes. You're actually barefoot here. Your choice of shoe. You got to do what you got to do, right, to get to your business.
Well, my boots only went up so high, like yours, and I didn't feel like walking around with the water in my boots.
There's nothing worse than water in your boots, right? But even, having to go out, even walking through the waters can be dangerous, and unfortunately it's something you have to do, though, for your business, right?
Right. Well, you know that there's a coliform count because the city sewer system fails. And so that's something that should have been taken care of 20 to 30 years ago and still hasn't been taken care of. I'm hoping the Maryland Department of the Environment will address it.
Yeah. We saw you guys out kind of trying to dump some of the water out. Can you explain what you were doing this morning when you were kind of hosing out?
We had about 1.5 inches of water at the front of the store. Fortunately, our floor is slanted towards the front door, so it didn't damage anything. We've suffered no losses at all, and so we just simply put the barriers in and hooked up the pumps, and we're ready to go.
That is incredible. Yeah. No losses at all. No. You know, just looking, you've been here for 48 years. Right. You've seen a lot of floods, I'm sure.
Oh my, yes.
How does this compare?
It's one of the worst. It's not the worst. It's only in front of my store right now. The highest it's gotten is about 19.5 inches, and so that's not too bad. I mean, it's not good if you're not protecting your business. If you're protecting your business, it's a piece of cake. Yeah. I just wish more of the people down here. I've explained to them how to do it. I just don't know.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you become a pro at protecting your business, so we appreciate you.
I like keeping my employees working.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, well, thank you for sharing your experience. And yeah, it's what a lot of businesses are dealing with. We see the sandbags out in front of the businesses, but Dock Street is swallowed by floodwaters right now. And so, but this is something that they deal with quite often. Of course, this flooding worse though than usual. So we'll have to see what the impacts are. We'll continue to follow this. Guys, we'll send it back to you in the studio now.
After 48 years, you learn that you've got to take those steps in order to save things.
And you know, he said he had to put all those measures in place, which I'm sure is costly. Yep. So, I mean, the things you have to do to keep your business there. But I do want him to put on some shoes. I'm worried about him.
You got to be so careful out there. We want to bring in Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. You've been tracking this, and you keep telling us, just wait. This is, you described it as a train. We've seen maybe 2 cars, and there's a long way to go.
There's still more to come, but I got to salute Mr. Storm, a great name. But, I mean, really braving the worst that's going on down there. Annapolis really getting some of really the strongest of that coastal flooding. But now, again, looking out from our sky cam, there it is. We got rain, we've got wind, and we are going to continue to see this happening here in just the next couple of hours. Much of what we have seen are wind gusts upwards of 35 to 45 miles per hour, and we're going to continue to watch those winds pushing in, but we could see them strengthen as the strongest of the bands from Debby are still pushing across the area. Now, the core of the system has moved by, but we're still getting that band, that train going by, as we're talking about, as we have multiple cars going through. You are getting the train of thunderstorms or heavy showers producing all that very, very heavy rain, and the worst of it still happening up towards Carroll County and then still back towards Howard County. Now, Baltimore County starting to push in. We do have 1 flash flood warning still in effect for parts of western Baltimore County, just to the west of Cockeysville, but this entire band is going to move through parts of Reisterstown now and off towards Owings Mills. This area is going to be absolutely inundated with very heavy rainfall, torrential. So be off the roads if you can. Try to avoid any of that, but we are also going to be still talking about that tornado watch in effect until 2 o'clock. That band is going to be the main line of it, but as you notice, they've already started to trim out some of our western counties, so that goes to show you that this main band that we're seeing here is the main tornado threat we have. So Frederick County back towards Montgomery County no longer in that watch for tornadoes, but we still have flooding to deal with. That's in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. The flood watch in the dark green, and all these flashing boxes are all those flash flood warnings. Look at all this rain. We're talking about 4, 5, 6 inches of rain, where many of us saw this in only a span of about 3-4 hours, and that's on top of a saturated ground. So therefore, we are having issues with the flash flooding when it's got nowhere to go. It's not being absorbed by the ground. All right, so now future scan. As we move through 10 o'clock, that band is likely going to continue to pass by Baltimore County and then eventually up to Cecil County. So we've got another couple hours of Baltimore County and then moving into our far eastern extremes by around 1, 2 o'clock. And we're hopefully can take a breath and be done with this system as it goes by. But let's point out some good news. All this rain's a good thing when we've been in this extreme to severe drought. I mean, we've had that dry spell for quite a while. We're just getting too much at once, of course, and we're still going to add on to what we've seen around another inch, so we're still talking on the order. 3 to 5 inches is what we predicted. So far, that has come true across most areas. Now, the last of the tornado threats going to exist, again, Baltimore County eastward. That does include Queen Anne's County, Cecil County, and Harvard County through your afternoon, and I think think by around 2, 3 o'clock, we'll start to see that really tapering. And then the wind gusts will also drop as that system exits as well. Let me give the best piece of news that we could have. After this thing's out of here, we are done with the weather being any bit of a problem. I'm talking temperatures will be warm, but comfortably warm with low humidity, and we're not even talking about much rainfall to come in the next 6 to 7 days.
That sounds delightful. Gerard, we just got to get through today first, and I'll tell you what, out on the roads, we're feeling the impacts here. Check it out, our Len Stoller Traffic Network, we have a closure on the Bay Bridge due to weather. I know a lot of folks here, it's a Friday morning, thinking about heading to the ocean. Not looking great right now. A lot of backup as a result of that closure. So again, Bay Bridge certainly going to cost you some time this morning. Looking at our travel map, elsewhere looking pretty good here. We're in the green. I did want to take a look here at 795 at Owings Mills. This is that area Gerard was mentioning that could be getting hit soon. Starting to see the rain there, but something to keep in mind. Live look now from our Len Stoller mobile track in the area of Westminster here this morning. Oof, look at this, Gerard. We've got dark clouds right there. We saw the second car in the train, as we've been calling it, moving through that area just about 20 minutes ago here, a couple minutes ago actually. And you can still see those storm clouds ahead here. A lot of rain, wet conditions, careful of flooding through that stretch.
Well, as we track the impacts of Debbie, we are going to head out to Baltimore City, check in with Olivia Dance and see what she's seeing out there. Rain, obviously. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
The big thing here is don't take a chance. As they say, turn around, don't drown.
I'm Maryland State Highway Administrator warning of major flooding out there on the roadways. The potential for dangerous weather coming our way as a result of Debbie. Debbie, 9:25 now on Fox 45. Good day, Baltimore.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2024 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore TV stations combined.
All right, it is 9:27, and we are back with a live look over the Inner Harbor, a wet Inner Harbor. You see the raindrops there on the camera. We are, of course, weather alert as we are really feeling the impact of Debby.
A lot of us seeing heavy rain, strong winds. Not a good day to be outside. If you can stay inside, avoid heading out. That's the best bet. Again, weather alert all morning long, tracking road conditions and flooding. We're going to check in with Shannon Lilly after the break to find out what conditions are like where she is.
We have our swift boat teams ready if that becomes necessary, but also just monitoring and ready to go in and help our residents.
Preparing for the worst of Debby as it hovers over our region. How officials across the state are working to keep residents safe. 9:28, you're watching Fox 45. Good day, Baltimore.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Good Day Baltimore.
9:31 now on this weather alert Friday. You are taking a live look over the Inner Harbor as we are tracking the impact of Debby, tracking and feeling the impact of Debby. Good morning to all of you. I'm Patrice Sanders.
I'm Megan Gilland, and you can see the dark clouds there as we look at the Inner Harbor, and that's pretty much indicative all across our area. We really started feeling the impact of that storm overnight. It's going to continue most of the day and into tonight.
And we have team coverage, of course, of the storm and how it is impacting Maryland. Meteorologist Amy Aronson, Shannon Lilly, Olivia Dancer, all out in the thick of it. But we want to start with our chief meteorologist, Gerard Jabali. He is in studio with us, tracking a closer look at the storm's path for us.
What a day it's been, guys. I mean, we're starting to see some improvements back to the west, but we still have to deal with some of the worst of this. I have some good news to pass Baltimore proper, this hugely heavy band of showers and thunderstorms. is starting to show the end of that train, as we talk about the caboose, if you will, is starting to pass by. So I'm hoping that the worst of it will continue to lift at a high rate of speed out of the area, but at least northern Baltimore County, northwestern Baltimore County is still got to deal with this. So Reisterstown over there towards Owings Mills still getting the heaviest of that rainfall. I believe that's where Amy Aronson is, and you saw her going through that very heavy rain. So flash flood warning still in effect, as you can tell from these very heavy storms. We're talking about that one until around 10:45. I say storms just because these are producing torrential rain, flooding, and the potential for tornadoes, but not much lightning out of them. And again, still back towards Carroll County, that flash flood warning still in effect until 10:45. The entire line just produced basically a stretch of flash flooding. Now, that tornado watch is still officially in effect for everywhere that you see there in yellow, includes everywhere from Anne Arundel, Howard, Carroll County to the east until 2 o'clock. Finally, the flooding threat until 8 o'clock. That's pretty much everywhere. We do have those flash flood warnings in effect. Those bands of moderate to heavy rain are still going to pass through, at least through around 1 o'clock. The flash flooding threat will continue, but also the quick spin up tornado threat. We'll track this for you a lot more coming up.
Thank you for that. We've got to look at our Len Stoller traffic network, giving you another idea of just what to expect if you're heading out. This is the big one for anyone looking to head down to the Ocean City here this weekend. The Bay Bridge, we've got a closure there because of weather. As a result of that, look at that top left-hand side of your screen. We are stopped right there, inching through that area. A lot of backup. Elsewhere, very wet conditions. Give yourself extra time. Slow the speeds. Be careful. We do want to check in now with meteorologist Amy Aronson in our Len Stoller mobile track.
And we're hearing that she's just getting toward the Reisterstown area, but wherever Amy's been this morning, there has been torrential rain. Amy, where exactly are you?
Yeah, we were just saying that. We've literally been following this line of downpours that's also had the threat for tornadoes kind of embedded within it. We have now made our way towards Reisterstown, and as you can see, we've just got sheets and sheets of rain falling. We have seen lots of high water along the side of the roadways, and you can also see winds are kind of picking up. So you can kind of see some leaves blowing towards us here. I just saw a flag whipping back and forth in the wind. So yeah, definitely a nasty storm pushing through Reisterstown right now, making for far from ideal conditions on the roadways, reducing visibility here. We're also included in that flash flood warning here. That will be ongoing until 10:45 this morning. They've already had a couple of inches of rain, and more rain is expected, because what's happening is, like Gerard's been talking about with the train, these storms are literally training. So they're moving over the same areas and taking their sweet old time doing so. So it's producing a lot of water. There's some water off to the side of me. Actually, we're crossing over that little bridge there, and it looks high. So that's the concern with flash flooding. Streams and creeks and rivers coming out of their banks and then flooding onto the roadways, on top of all this water that you're literally seeing just fall on the roads here. So not a pretty scene. We're going to continue to use caution as we travel this direction this morning, but definitely stay safe, folks, and stay off the roads if you could do that. Megan, Patrice.
Amy, Graham, you guys are doing a great job showing us what's going on. Thank you. Be careful. We know this storm is going to continue to hit the Baltimore region as this morning moves along, giving us another glimpse of what to expect. We have Olivia Dance. She's been in Fells Point all morning long for us. Olivia, it started with the wind, and my goodness, now look where you're standing. That water seems like it's gotten even higher.
Megan, it has. I am standing in water, and this water has risen very rapidly. So about an hour, a little over an hour ago, the water just came up to about here. Now you can see it's well above that. I mean, this is, if I step down there, it'll go over my boots. So I won't do that. But it looks like it rose up from the storm drain that's right there. And then on top of it, look how high the water in the harbor is now. I mean, it's pretty much each wave is just splashing over, which is what is making this flooding rise so rapidly. And we have seen some rain. I think last time you guys came to me about 30 minutes ago, we were getting kind of a downpour, but then it stops and it looks like the sun is even kind of coming out a little bit. So we don't think it's the rain that's really causing this flooding. It is mostly just these strong winds that are pushing the harbor, making it so choppy, rising that water and bringing it up here onto the dock. Take a look at the boats here. There's the water taxi and the harbor connector. They are not operating today, not surprising. The crews were here all morning securing those boats and the dock. They just left a few minutes ago, but they told me they are not operating today, which makes sense because just look at the harbor. Really pretty shocking to see, and it is pretty crazy how rapidly this water is rising. So definitely stay clear of this area, and I'll send it back to you guys.
in a very terrifying way. That, I mean, it's kind of spectacular to see that. We are continuing to track Debbie as it impacts the roadways across Maryland. Shannon Lilly joining us live from Annapolis. She's got a look at flooding in that area, and that has risen exponentially since we first saw you this morning.
Absolutely, Patrice. We're seeing possible historic flooding here in Annapolis. And here to break it down, we have Nicole Torres with Emergency Management. And you're saying that this could be, you know, on the record of one of the worst days for flooding, right? Unconfirmed at this point.
That's correct. So early reports are stating that this is the 9th worst flooding we've had on record, which is the first time we've had 2 top 10 events within the year. The other being January 9th earlier this year, which was the 3rd worst on record.
And that's just, it's hard for, you know, business owners and for people in the area to have 2 big events like that in one year. Talk about the concern for later on today, because this storm isn't over yet.
That is correct. So as you've seen and as you felt throughout the day today, we are having gusting winds of up to 30, 40 miles per hour and sustained winds of about 20 miles per hour. So with that brings the danger of objects becoming flying debris, patio furniture flying, hitting, causing further property damage. We have the possibility of downed trees and downed wires. In addition to that, there are expected to be bands of heavy rain coming through as Debbie moves through the area. So we're urging people to use caution throughout the day today and don't be out if you don't have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you just describe, because we've just reached high tide, right? So what exactly are we seeing as far as the levels of flooding, and what can we expect flooding-wise?
That is correct. So we are over high tide right now. So right now we're going to be receding a little bit, but the water hasn't receded yet. So we still have flooding. We've closed down Compromise Street, Dock Street, and Memorial Circle to prevent cars from driving through, just because it only takes 12 inches of water to lift a vehicle. So we are about 4.1 feet above average. So just urging drivers to use extra caution and please don't drive through those barriers.
Yeah, you said 12 inches?
12 inches is all it takes to lift a vehicle.
And we're seeing 4 feet of water, and yet we're still seeing vehicles drive through. So that just really puts it into perspective, right? Don't drive through.
So water levels are 4 feet above average. So that could be a couple inches above normal.
Okay. Okay, well, we appreciate you speaking with us, and, you know, obviously the biggest thing is just for people to use caution today, and the storm isn't over. And especially when you're driving through flooded areas, don't, in the first place, drive through. If you see water, turn around, don't drown. All of those things just to make sure that you stay safe today. We'll send it back into you guys.
Shannon, thank you. Well, she is a tropical storm, but Debbie is really impacting the region this morning as we are looking over the Inner Harbor. We're going to have continuing coverage all morning long with the important information you need to know to stay safe.
Please stay away from downtown. There's going to be a lot of coverage in this. We've got a couple more hours till high tide.
You just saw Shannon there, the mayor of Annapolis, warning of dangerous weather as a result of Debbie. Just how bad the flooding could get as the storm continues to pass through. It is 9:41 on Fox 45. Good day, Baltimore.
The big thing here is don't take a chance. As they say, turn around, don't drown. It doesn't take much to float a car or get a car out of control. So if you see a roadway that's flooded, that's prone to flooding, I would avoid it, take another route.
And we can't say that enough this morning. And whenever these storms hit, because even as we do this live coverage, we always still see people driving through some of those roads. But the big message this morning, as we are tracking the impacts of Debby, safety first. Now, the State Highway Administration is warning against driving through high water. We are on weather alert as we are tracking the impact of Debby moving over Maryland. And this is our mobile track. This is one of the calmer moments we have seen throughout the morning. Clearer conditions right now, but that has been the rarity of what we have seen throughout the course of this morning. We're going to check in with Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali for a closer look at the storm's track that's coming up in just about 5 minutes. All right, well, we're taking a live look now over Towson as Tropical Depression Debby is bringing powerful rain, powerful wind to our region. We're going to check in with our Fox 45 News crew that is out and about throughout the region, tracking the weather conditions, and we're going to bring you all the latest information you need to know to stay safe.
And some of you wondering how much longer. Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali timing this out after the break. He's going to make sure you stay safe. Stay with Fox 45 so you don't miss any important updates as we are weather alert all morning long. It is 9:45 on Fox 45. Good day, Baltimore.
I got you. You have me.
Without power
All
now.
right. How many?
14,000.
This week on Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson, the border crisis, a top 2024 campaign issue that President Biden is surprising some of his supporters by building a new border wall along the Texas-Mexico border. Now, for the better part of the year, last 3 years rather, President Biden and his Homeland Security chief claimed the border was closed and secure as millions of immigrants poured in illegally. But now the administration started working on miles of new border barrier, even as it's opposing the state's move to do the same.
The hypocrisy is so nauseating. You know, on one end, you have President Biden building the border barrier, and at the other end, he's suing Governor Abbott for building or erecting a border barrier.
Why do you think the turnaround at the 11th hour? Why would the Biden administration now be building border wall?
I mean, bottom line is people overall as a country, they are seeing what's happening here. And the reality is that the circumstances that when you're having individuals coming into the country and again, not properly vetted or catch and release, it's having an impact on the national perspective here.
This week on Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson, she takes us to where Biden's border wall is being built and talks to locals about the issue driving their vote in 2024. You can watch Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson right here on Fox 45. It airs Sunday at 10 a.m. and again at 11 p.m. And for a behind-the-scenes look at Cheryl's stories and investigations, look up the podcast Full Measure After Hours wherever you listen to podcasts.
It is almost time for kids to head back to school and college, but before they do, a new study ranks the best jobs for recent high school graduates. Let's take a look. A Harvard Business School and American Opportunity Index study shows Chipotle, Lowe's, and Walgreens are some of the top businesses for high school graduates to work at. The study looked at 400 of the biggest companies in the country and ranked them based on their number of entry-level jobs and rate of promoting internally. Well, remember, Fox 45 is your back-to-school headquarters. Now through that first day of school, we are showcasing the stories parents need to know before that school bell rings on the new year. You can scan the QR code that you see right there. It's on your screen to see all of the stories that we have compiled so far for busy parents. All right, 9:50, and we are weather alert this morning. It's been a crazy morning with tornado warnings at times, flood watches throughout the region. We need to get another check of what to expect here.
That's right, and things have been changing very quickly. Calm one second, windy, storming the next. Let's get over to Chief Meteorologist Georgia Bailey. It's raining now on those cameras.
Just like that. I mean, I said it was going to be coming through. The good news right now is that at least downtown Baltimore may avoid the worst of what this heaviest band could be producing, but we'll get to the radar. Either way, you know that it can still, of course, produce some gusty winds and some very heavy rainfall, but we're hoping we can escape the flash flooding threat out of this current band. Either way, here's a look at the wind gusts we've been seeing, anywhere from 40 to 45 miles per hour. Some of that's come down a little bit to around 35-mile-per-hour gusts between Baltimore and then across the bay towards Chestertown. Again, Debby, the core of it, has already pushed into Pennsylvania. We just have the residual bands coming in behind, and this last band, I am hoping, could be the only one that we have to deal with. But there it is. You see the string of flash flood warnings that it has caused, but we are looking at least a little bit of an end to that train. The caboose over here is back over here towards Hampstead and moving out of northern Baltimore County. I'm going to give this another 10 minutes, and then it should be out of Baltimore County into Pennsylvania. And then just a few of these lighter showers still showing up, producing, again, a little bit of rainfall, but we've had a ton of it back to the west, anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of rain, half a foot, even further west into Virginia. I've seen much more than that, over half a foot of rainfall. Now, here's Future Scan. This is what we're talking about, this last band going through. But as we get past noon to around 2 o'clock, will we get a new train or a new line of these showers to form? That's the question. I think the environment is supportive enough to do this. And if that happens, this could be a problem more for Harford County, Cecil County, and then across the bay. So this line will be that threat for not just the damaging winds, but also a threat for tornadoes, and lastly, the flash flooding threat. So once that's gone, then we're finally going to see an end to our severe and flooding threat, and then we'll finally dry out later on tonight. Good news for the Ravens fans. At least you should be able to get the game in tonight. Again, that tornado threat still shifting further and further east as we move through the afternoon, but where our timing is likely going to come to an end sometime around 2 to 3 o'clock, but it's still a level 2 threat. Any one of these storms, the bigger ones, could fire up and spin up a very quick spin-up tornado. Now, the future wind gusts. Again, that is still something that's got to happen to and finish, but it's not going to move out until closer to 3 o'clock. Then we are finally looking so much better into next week here. Today's our weather alert day, but after that, it is looking so much nicer, mid-80s and low humidity. We'll take a look at the 10-day forecast coming up in just a bit. Don't forget to check out that QR code, and we'll be right back.
quick update here as we come back on the air. BGE outage map now looking at over 14,000 customers in the dark. 550 outages right now. And Gerard, we're thinking this number could go up.
It could, but I mean, we're getting a little bit of help that we are still seeing some very heavy rain out there. I do believe we have a camera up here towards the Cockeysville and Hunt Valley area. Very torrential rain still coming down, but we are seeing at least a little bit of a lull in the activity, which could ramp back up here in the next few hours. All right, let's take a look at your 10-day forecast because things are going to look so much better after today. Still weather alert with today through around the early afternoon, mid-afternoon, 3, 4 o'clock, and we're finally going to see an end to this. Good news for the Ravens fans. We should be able to get the game at least underway. It's going to be a sopping wet field, but as you can tell, after this, it's looking great. Low humidity and sunshine all the way into next week, guys.
Gerard, thank you. We'll see you here at midday.